This happened at the end of September, and I still can't move on. I 18F and my now ex 18M, we'll call him Mike, had been dating for 6 months at this point. I had my first time with him, and maybe that's why this hurt me so much. One hot Friday after school, I got a DM from a girl I didn't personally know. She was someone who went to the same school as Mike, and she said, "So I just want to let you know because I feel like it's wrong not to. Basically, Mike and I were kind of a thing before you guys started dating, and the only reason things ended was because he posted you for Girlfriend's Day. I had no idea until then, so obviously like y'all had been dating for a bit while he was still talking to me. And we work together, and he's in 2 of my classes and still flirts with me every day. He does things like drinks out of my water bottle and is really touchy and will look me up down and wink at me and is always trying to be around me, sends pics of me to his recents, initiates playing footsies, and that's just half of it. I could be crazy, but at one point it gave me the wrong message to the point that I thought you broke up, and he wanted to be a thing with me again, as well as other people started asking if we were dating, and when I said he has a GF, they were very surprised. I promise I'm not trying to sabotage your relationship, and I have a lot of respect for it. I just wanted to tell you because if it was me, I would want to know. I know that this isn't necessarily cheating, and she could have been lying to me, so I called Mike. That over an hour-long phone call consisted of him gaslighting me into the next generation of how he didn't see it as cheating because he didn't think of her that way, when clearly they had a fling while we were together. That call confirmed to me that he was cheating after I stated multiple times that I viewed what he was doing as cheating, and he said that I was crazy for thinking like that. I am a cheerleader, so that night I decided to break up with him after the game. He cried in my car saying that no girls at his new school were hot. Like, are you kidding? That's what you're crying about. He unwillingly left my car, and that was that. Not even 2 days go by when my friend sees on his story that he had a new GF, and it was the same girl who DM'd me. I can't move on from this. I feel betrayed and worthless. How do you rebuild your sense of self-worth after someone you trusted stomped all over it? How do you learn to trust again when it feels like the whole world is out to get you? Any advice would help at this point. I feel dirty in a way that I can't even begin to explain.